Good morning, students. Today we will continue with our last chapter. We started with major domains of Earth, and now we are going to continue and complete the chapter in this part. We have already covered lithosphere in the last part. Now we are going to continue from hydrosphere. So our Earth planet, this is the picture. This is how, if you will see Earth from the sphere, this is how it looks like. We have more of water here. Now our Earth is known as blue planet. Why is this so? Because 71% of our Earth is covered with water and 29% is land. Now you must have heard of scarcity of water. There are different campaigns running to save water. Now if our Earth is called blue planet, then why do we have the scarcity of water? This is so because this is the graph which shows the presence of water on our planet. If you see this is the total amount of water present on our Earth, available to Earth on our planet for us. Now out of this water, the 97% of water is salty, which is present in seas and ocean. Then we have 2% of water which is in ice cap or glacier form. So that means these two remain unavailable to us for our daily continuous use. We can't use them. They are not readily available. The rest 1% involves your fresh water plus the ground water. So this is the water that is available to us. That is why we say we have scarcity of water on our Earth and we should save water, conserve water for our future. Now, in hydrosphere, oceans are the major part that constitute the hydrosphere. Now, as we know that all the oceans are interconnected, all in the world, you can see them. The division of landmass is done by the oceans. Now, there are three chief movement of ocean water, which is the waves, tides, and the ocean currents. Now, in the world, on our planet, there are 5 major oceans. The first one, which is the largest one, is the Pacific, then Atlantic, then Indian, then Southern, and the last one is the Arctic Ocean, which is the smallest one. Now we are going to study them one by one. Starting with the Pacific Ocean. Now this is the largest ocean and it looks like it is almost circular in shape. I'm saying almost, I'm not saying it is absolutely circular in shape. Now it is spread over 1/3 of the Earth, and which is the deepest part of the Earth in oceans. Now that is there in the Pacific Ocean only. It lies in Pacific Ocean and the name is Mariana Trench. Now this is the flat representation of our planet, and if you see, there are two on both the sides, Pacific Ocean is written. So can we say that there are two Pacific Ocean? No, it is not that, because if you join the two ends of this picture, it will join at the end, that forms one Pacific Ocean. Since it is a flat representation, you can now understand that why two sides are written. Now you can do one simple activity also further to understand it. You take a round ball, draw a thick line, say in black color. Now cut it from the center. The black line should be cut equally. Now if you will try to spread the ball, you will see that black line on both the sides. So same way the Pacific Ocean is here and here also. If you join the two, it will be one at the end. Now there are 4 continents that surround your Pacific Ocean. If you see, look in the map, one is your North America, South America over here, and over here it's your Asia and Australia. Now we move on to the second largest ocean in the world, which is the Atlantic Ocean. Now if you look at the picture, it looks almost S-shaped, and the continents that surround the Atlantic Ocean are Europe, of course, North America, South America, Europe, and Africa. Now, since if the question comes that which is out of all these 5 oceans, which is the busiest ocean? So Atlantic Ocean remains the busiest ocean in terms of your trade and commerce. And why is that so? Because it has a longest coastline which supports the trade and commerce between all these 4 continents. So what is the trade? What is the coastline? Coastline means where the land meets the water. So it is the busiest ocean, and the reason for same is the coastline that is available. If we have a coastline, then we have the presence of ports, which makes the trade and commerce easier and possible for all these continents amongst each other. Now we are moving to the ocean, which has its name after a country, and that is our own country. The name of the ocean is Indian Ocean. Now this is almost triangular. The shape of this ocean is almost triangular, and it is bound by, as you can see, Asia in the north, Africa in the west, and Australia in the east. Now after this we move on to the Southern Ocean, and this is the continent, this is the ocean which is the youngest ocean, because it was formed that only it is formed only 30 million years ago, when the South America and Antarctica moved apart. So it is the youngest ocean among all these 5 oceans. And sometimes you may find Southern Ocean also referred to as Antarctic Ocean, South Polar Ocean, and Austral Ocean. Now what is, because you can see in the map that Indian Ocean and Atlantic Ocean and the Southern Ocean are there together, since they are connected also, all the oceans. So where do we demarcate that what is the the location of Southern Ocean? So it extends from the continent of Antarctica to the line of latitude at 60 degree south. Okay, start from the continent of Antarctica, and where we are reaching the latitude of 60 degrees south, that is the extent of Southern Ocean. Now the last ocean, which is located in the Arctic Circle, it surrounds the North Pole, and the name of the ocean is, because it remains in this zone, so we call it Arctic Ocean. It is connected with Pacific Ocean. Now if the two oceans are being connected, so that we will call it strait. We have done it in the last part. And the strait which connects Arctic Ocean to Pacific Ocean, it's called Bering Strait, and it is bound by the northern coast of North America and Eurasia. Now we move to our new next zone, and that is called atmosphere. There are many things that you already know, so we'll do it very quickly in a simpler way. So our Earth, planet Earth, is surrounded by a layer of gas which is called atmosphere. This is very important for us. It provides us, and why is it important? Because it provides us with the air that we breathe. It protects us from the harmful effects of sun rays. Now our atmosphere is divided into 5 layers: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Looking in the picture, you can see what all is there and what all is the possibility of finding in the all the Earth's layer. Now these layers are very important to us, and they protect us from the harmful effects of sun rays also. Otherwise we can develop certain disease like skin cancer. In atmosphere, coming to the composition of gases, so if you look in the graph, nitrogen remains in abundance, it is 78%. Then comes our oxygen, then 1% is your other gases, and water vapor is up to 2%. Now nitrogen is very, very important because it helps in the growth of living organisms, especially for plants. It is very vital because the plants, the major components, chlorophyll is very important for plants, because they make it is used in the process of photosynthesis. Okay, and nitrogen is so vital because it is a major component of chlorophyll for plants. So this gas is very important for plants. We have complete nitrogen cycle based on it. Now oxygen is important. You know, we cannot imagine our life without oxygen, and of course if nitrogen is not there, then plants cannot their growth cannot be imagined. Okay, so eventually plants also need nitrogen, and we also need oxygen. So these gases are important for us, for our life. Now carbon dioxide is again very important because it absorbs the heat. In carbon dioxide, the carbon component, it absorbs the heat radiated by sun, which keeps the earth warm. Otherwise it's our earth would have been a cold planet if carbon and carbon dioxide would not have trapped the heat of the sun. And carbon in carbon dioxide, this is a greenhouse gas also. This also you know. So all these 3 gases are very important for us to live on our planet. Now coming to very important part of it, which we are going to talk about, the air density and air pressure. Now if you look in this graph, this is 0, 100, 200, it goes up as we move up. You can refer to the arrow. Here also this is showing low pressure and low density. So if you move from here, it will go like 0, 100, 200 over here. Now if we imagine this to be 400, if the pressure is 4, if we are on the altitude is there, that means we are on the flat surface, okay, we are on plains, so the pressure and density is more. But suppose if we are going up, suppose we are climbing the mountain and we have reached up to 200 kilometer, so if you see, the air pressure and density both is reducing. If the altitude is less, say it is 50 kilometer, if we are at 50, so air pressure and density is more, it will be around over here. But if it is 200 kilometer, the air pressure and density both will reduce. Okay, so why it reduced? Now what is the meaning of less density? That means the presence of gases is reducing. Now as we go up, suppose we are climbing the mountains, as we are going up, the density or the presence of gas will reduce. That means oxygen level, because we are talking about us, so you must have seen mountaineers carrying oxygen cylinders with them, because the density, the presence of oxygen gas reduces with the increase in altitude. Altitude means height. Okay, now it is maximum at sea level, and the density will decrease as we go up. So at sea level it is at maximum, and density will decrease, density will decrease as the height will increase. Now the next one is the difference in pressure results in the moving air, which is called as wind. Now we have high pressure area, say in sea. Now what happens, when we have heat, when we have presence of sun, so ground will heat up faster than the sun. Now this you can do in your house also. Go in the balcony, take a mug of water, okay, and leave it there. So you will see the surface of the balcony will be heated up faster than the water which is there in the mug. So the similar things happen. This water in the sea will take time to heat up, but the ground will heat up faster. Okay, so now what happens when it is heating up, the air will rise, and that will create, because the air is already rising up, so this will create a low pressure here. And now because there is a vacuum created, the high pressure will try to fill it. So the air always moves from high pressure to low pressure, and this moving air is known as wind. Now we are coming to the last domain that we have to cover in this chapter, which is your biosphere. Now biosphere is, if you look in this diagram, is the narrow zone of contact where we have all the three zones that we have covered so far. We cannot imagine life only in atmosphere, because the birds or all the creatures that are there, they need the lithosphere, because birds will come down to feed themselves. Okay, we in lithosphere, we also need atmosphere. Okay, hydrosphere also, so all the three are interdependent, right? So this is a narrow zone of contact where all the three zones are available. Okay, because in hydrosphere all the species need the other two, because where the oxygen will come in water. Okay, so they are interconnected. This is very unique to our planet, and this is the zone where the biosphere is the zone where the life exists. Now all the living organisms, including humans, are linked to each other and to the biosphere for the survival. And this, look in this picture, the organism in the biosphere can be divided into two different kingdoms. One is the plant kingdom, both in marine and on land, and the other one is animal kingdom, again both in marine and land. So this we can divide into two. Now no species can exist independently, we have just learned. Now impact on one sphere will affect the other two. Like suppose if we are cutting down the trees on lithosphere, that will result into deforestation, and it will further impact the hydrosphere, because that will result in flood. If the floods are there, that will impact the life on lithosphere. Okay, this will further impact other zones. So one activity in one zone will impact the other. Okay, so like your human activities are impacts. Now look at the impacts: global warming, air, water, land, all the three type of pollution. If we are cutting down the say the land, the deforestation is there, then it is going to impact water and air, both the spheres. Then we will have resource depletion. If there is a lot of population, then we are impacting the land, which in other connected way they're impacting both air and water. There's a loss of biodiversity, ozone layer depletion because of the all the three type of pollution. So all human activities, though we do it on land, but it is impacting the other spheres also. So this is very important for us, that we behave responsibly and do not spoil our planet. We have to conserve all the resources that are there over on our planet, and we should see that we are not discharging waste material into the lakes, because that is making water unsuitable for human use. And not only for human use, it damages all forms of life which are there in marine, like in all the aquatic animals and plants. So that is because all the human activities are impacting all the zones, because in biosphere all the zones are connected. So we need to see our activities, we need to see ways that we are conserving our resources and not spoiling them. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel, like and share. Thank you.